Hello friends, welcome to a first impressions video of Risk of Rain 2, just recently released. It's been out for less than a week and I had to pick it up because everyone around me was talking about how much fun they were having. I remember having fun in Risk of Rain 1, if that's what you'd like to call it. And so I decided to give this game a shot. I've been playing it for about like 4 to 5 hours, so I know a decent amount about the game so far. For that amount of time, of course. I don't know everything about this game. There's lots of secrets to be uncovered. Before we get started, I should clarify that this game, as you can see on the character select screen, is still in early access. Some stuff is not yet implemented into the game and will be over time. I currently have 3 of the 6 available characters and have gotten a lot of the items over the course of the game. But I still have a lot to discover too, which is why this is more of a first impression than anything else. So far, I've been playing mostly with Huntress. She focuses around being kind of a glass cannon who has lots of mobility and strong damage output, but due to her low health, you can die pretty quickly and suddenly if you're not being careful. So I'm gonna jump in. We're going to drop into Titanic Planes, which, of the first 2 levels so far, I definitely prefer Titanic Planes, just because the whatever, I think it's like Distant Roost or something. The alternate first level is a bit claustrophobic to me, at least. Not that that's a particularly bad thing, I just prefer the wide open vistas that you get here. But yeah, you can see in the top right corner that we have a timer and we have a little bar that says easy on it, and that might be a little bit confusing to people who haven't seen Risk of Rain before. That's because the general gimmick of this game is that the longer you play, no matter how far you've progressed, the game's overall difficulty is constantly increasing. So you'll see we're starting to see a little bit of an orange bar pop up, or yellow, whatever you want to call it, which will eventually become medium, hard, impossible, until the game becomes very edgy and just starts laughing perpetually for a difficulty level, which is pretty cute. But ultimately, the goal of the game is to collect items and complete levels and find teleporters to reach the next level, while also managing your difficulty in the top left. So I got Wax Quail, jumping while sprinting boosts you forward. I haven't actually gotten that item before, so that's a new one. You can also see up here that I've somehow already gotten a lunar coin, and this contributes to a sort of secret area of sorts, which you can use to get a pool of special items that seem to heavily modify the way that certain elements of the game play. Like, I've gotten one of them so far, and the way it worked was that I got double healing from all sources, but all healing was applied over time, as opposed to any form of burst healing, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, we're gonna start out pretty weak to begin, and everything's gonna be pretty tanky and hard to kill. As you can see, I have a bunch of abilities in the bottom right corner. Each character has like 4 or 5. For example, this is my primary fire. My secondary fire, which you saw earlier, if I get these 2 guys close together, bounces between enemies and does progressively more damage as it bounces. So that's pretty good for dealing with small groups of enemies. And then my shift ability, which I believe is globally a utility for all characters. It's basically a mobility thing for most characters. I get to dash forward like that, and that's incredibly useful because I say forward loosely. You can actually use it in any direction, including vertical. So if you want to get outside of the map, for example, like if you've seen over in this direction, like you can get up there. You could probably, I've gotten on top of these things before with the mobility. Huntress has a really nice mobility option. It's pretty strong. But yeah, as you can see, we got ourselves a drone. There are drones, there are items, there are use items. There's plenty of stuff to go around as far as progressing your build, and certain things interact pretty well with other things. I know in Risk of Rain 1, there is a particular item that is fairly rare that makes all of your drones like super powered, so then you would want to get as many drones as possible. I haven't encountered it yet, but I have encountered a lot of items from Risk of Rain 1 in this game, so I believe even if it doesn't exist right now, it will probably be added in the future. Ooh, I like extra jumps, thank you. So that covers most of that. As you can see, I've gotten 2 green items and a white item. Items are sorted by a colored rarity system. White items are the most common. Green are rare items, and red are like legendary or whatever you want to call it. And then there's also orange items, which act as active items, or as they're called in this game, equipment, which you use once and then it has a cooldown before it can be used again. So that covers all of the bases for the items. Generally, at this point, I've made a decent amount of money. I'm just looking around to get more items, but pretty soon I'm going to want to find the teleporter. So we don't want to hang around here too long, or the difficulty is going to start scaling on me like crazy. So far, the game is pretty difficult. At least having not experienced Risk of Rain for like a year, I haven't played that game in a long time. So I'm still fairly rusty about like what all the enemies do. If you've played the game a lot, you'll definitely recognize a lot of enemies and items pretty quickly, which will be a big help. It's very helpful to be able to just see stuff and be like, I know exactly what this is probably going to do. That being said, the game does give a lot of visual and audio cues for things that are going on. Most enemies make, or at least enemies that are hard to see, like the wisps that float in the air, they make a little ambient noise. And generally the game follows a similar style of that throughout their enemy designs and audio design so that you can know what's going on. There are also lots of visual cues. For example, this war banner has a radius around it that will improve my stats, and you can clearly see it. A lot of attacks that would be hard to tell where they would land often have a visual cue as well. So generally you won't be too confused regarding any of that stuff, hopefully. So let me show off the vertical dash. As you can see, that's just really, really good. You can get around pretty much anywhere. You can get out of the map pretty easily if you want to. Some might call that a fault. I think it's just kind of fun. It doesn't really harm anything. It's not like the game breaks if you escape the map. As you probably saw before and can see now, there are also shrines in the game, which each serve different functions. The shrine earlier is a Shrine of Luck, where you can pay, at first, a discounted price, but a progressively more expensive price to get a chance at getting an item, and you can get a maximum of 2 items from those shrines. This is the Mountain Shrine. I really, honestly, am not certain as to what its effect is. If you pray to it, it just says you have invited the challenge of the mountain, and I haven't yet figured out what the difference of that is. I'm sure it does something, I'm just not sure what. So right down there, that is the teleporter. Oh, look, actually, all right, it looks like it interacts with the teleporter in some way because the icon is hovering over the teleporter now. Once you find the teleporter, you can absolutely go to it and just activate it right away. I like to make sure I have all of the items from the level beforehand, just in case. You can purchase items after you activate the teleporter. It is allowed, not during the teleporter process where you have to fight a boss. You can't buy items during that. But if you have leftover money at the end, you absolutely can buy stuff. I just like to play it safe and get the stuff beforehand. Alright, so I like getting this item if I get the chance to, because it gives me shields, which recharge over time. It is pretty helpful. Anyway, with that, I think I'm going to activate the teleporter. This is going to begin a boss fight and increase spawn rates for a bit, if I'm not mistaken. So we've got Beetle Queen. Beetle Queen is not that bad. She can spawn like smaller beetles that get shot out and then create an area of effect for damage. Or she can just shoot direct attacks from herself in like a spread of 5 that can hit pretty hard, actually. I have died to that before. Oh, there's 2, okay. I was gonna say, this one was kind of losing health pretty quickly. Yeah, as you can see, I think I didn't describe the 4th ability. It lets you jump in the air, and then you can left-click on a region that you want to have a hail of arrows. And those arrows will deal significant damage and slow down any enemies stuck inside it. So it's pretty good for dealing with big boy bosses like Beetle Queen. So yeah, things get pretty chaotic pretty quickly when you activate the teleporter. It's nothing like unmanageable, but as you can see, there's a lot of stuff on screen, all trying to kill you at the same time. It's really important to be like constantly moving while you can. And you can see another visual indicator. The stone golems have a sort of hit scan laser attack that follows you around, and you can see it progressively getting brighter the closer they are to firing it. So I should probably deal with these guys. They're a little bit scary, actually. They hit pretty hard. There we go. They're all done for. And now we get a war banner as well, which is nice. So you can see that the teleporter has been charging over time. It is officially totally charged at 99%. I just need to kill the boss to activate it. At this point, enemies no longer are spawning, which is why things are starting to calm down. So I'm just going to dispatch the last few enemies, and then we'll take down the second Beetle Queen. Oh, also, she has this little acidic attack that does damage over time, so don't stand on that. This should deal with her. There we go. So that's that. As you can see, the teleporter's active. I can just proceed through it whenever I want to. And when you kill bosses, you get items. I got 2 Hapu feathers, which is kind of nuts. I have a quadruple jump now. That's great. I am a huge fan of mobility items in this game. Like, you are allowed to loop in this game. In fact, it seems like it's highly encouraged in the sequel, even more so than the previous one, because it just throws you into it right away. And it is a joy to just gradually build up your mobility over time. I absolutely love it. Not to say that you don't have great mobility with Huntress to begin with. Like I said, I think her utility is one of the best in the game. I obviously haven't played all the characters, but it's kind of hard to beat a utility that can get outside of the map without any assistance whatsoever. Just by default, able to escape the map. Anyway, this is the second area that we're in. If you can see out in the distance there is a little lavender sort of spiky chest looking thing. I don't know what those are officially called. I've been calling them like lunar chests because that lunar token that we got before that I was surprised to get so early can be used there. What it does is it says a blue orb appears, and that is to indicate that at your teleporter there's officially a blue orb that will open a portal once you complete the teleporter. And that portal sends you to a secret area where you can use additional lunar tokens to buy those special items I was talking about earlier. So, also, I'm starting to suspect the challenge of the mountain might be double bosses. I'm not positive. We'll check at the end of this level, see if there's 2 bosses again. And if there is, that would probably suggest that's what it does. Also, as you can see, I kind of screwed up the arrow rain. It doesn't have to move from the sky. There's lots of stuff like that where Risk of Rain rewards being clever and arguably a little bit goofy with your abilities and items. So in this case, you absolutely have the ability to send arrow rain upward if you wanted to. Like if you aim at a ceiling, like that, like it just shoots up. Okay, so we got our first red item, which is pretty exciting. This one increases jump height and lets you hold jump to do this, which does damage. Generally not huge on my list of red items. Like I said, I like the increased mobility for sure, but for red items, I generally like a bit more flair. A lot of the red items from the first game are back, particularly stuff like Ceremonial Dagger and Happy Mask. They do seem to be slightly rebalanced, but a lot of the more iconic stuff that you can recall from Risk of Rain 1 is fairly similarly emulated here in Risk of Rain 2. Ceremonial Dagger is still really powerful in this game, for example, so if you do come by it, it is absolutely a good idea to get. I'm gonna grab a quick goat hoof, because that increases my movement speed. And we've been over how I feel about that. Generally, for a Huntress run on the second floor, hey, look, I defeated 3,000 enemies. This is already pretty wonderful. Getting additional mobility with Huntress is really powerful because one of her benefits is, I think it's called Strafe in-game, which allows you to use your primary fire while moving. Most characters can't do that. So that's an especially huge benefit on her part. Huntress is still pretty strong in this game as she was in the first game. Alright, we get a chance to fire a missile now whenever we, I don't know if it's attack or deal damage, but regardless, missiles are cool, so I'm generally down for it. I haven't gotten the Mark II yet, which, considering they listed as ATG missile Mark I, it obviously is in the game, or will be at some point. So that'll hopefully be a fun mess of an item. I've gotten a lot of the red items so far. I say a lot. I think I've gotten like 8 of them. So there's probably still plenty for me to see. But it is generally, most of the red items are still just as cool as they have been in the past. Okay, so this item in particular that I just got, I am a really big fan of for Huntress. If I press tab real fast, you can see it's Bandolier. Chance on kill to drop an ammo pack that resets cooldowns. Why I love this for Huntress is because of her mobility. So if I'm like fighting and I see one of the ammo packs drop, what I can do, hopefully I can emulate it here, is I can use one of my stronger abilities, right? So let's just do this. Use one of my stronger abilities, and then once an ammo pack drops, if it ever will, it should eventually happen, is I can use my utility to dash into it, immediately resetting that utility cooldown along with my other cooldown. So like that. Now I can dash again immediately afterwards, and both my like alt fire and my super strong storm rain attack are reset. So when you get to the point where you're fighting the teleporter and there's a huge wave of enemies constantly trying to murder you, you find yourself in a situation where you can frequently reset your cooldowns that way, and it can become super powerful. Also, I'm apparently the drone master on this run. I have 4 gunner drones. I did find a particularly interesting drone earlier in my playthroughs. I had a run where I found what I thought was like an environment scanning module, which you can find occasionally in worlds. I don't know exactly where all of them are. I've only found one, and it costs a lot, but it unlocks the environment log in your logbook on the main menu. I've generally been going for them when I find them. I've only found one so far, and I thought I had found another one, but it was actually just a massive drone that does tons of damage and has a ton of health. It was really nuts. I was a huge fan of it anyway. Okay, let's deal with these stone golems. So yeah, as you can see, I don't have my dash this time, but you can just get that and then refresh all your cooldowns, and it is pretty powerful for Huntress, especially with her arrow rain, which normally has a pretty hefty cooldown. Also, as you can see at the bottom right, I have gotten an equipment active item, whatever you want to call it. I can hit Q to use it. This particular one heals me, which is pretty nice for Huntress, because you can lose a lot of your health pretty quickly. So if you're in a pinch and you really need some health, having this item around is a lifesaver occasionally. That being said, I think one of my biggest weaknesses right now is that I don't pay enough attention to my health, so there is a non-zero chance that I will just forget to use the item, and I hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, I think we can activate the teleporter. Let's see if there's 2 bosses. Wandering Vagrant. There is 2. So I think the challenge of the mountain is to get 2 bosses. Or 3. 3 is also an option. I wasn't really looking forward to 3, personally. But, that's fine, I guess. I have a feeling I might want to pay attention to my health, because Wandering Vagrants are rude. One of the more interesting things about the transition to 3D is that you can use cover now. In Risk of Rain originally, you kind of just had to use your mobility entirely to try and avoid attacks, but with Risk of Rain 2 being in 3D, which is a little bit confusing, you can just use cover, right? Like, I can see an attack coming, and I can just hang out here. Of course, there are still wisps to hit me, but I can use this cover to escape attacks, and that is incredibly useful. All right, that's one. We've got 2 more. So there we go, and you can see that the debuff that it decreases enemy speeds is listed with a red arrow. This is a little bit sketchy. Both of them doing that area attack is really scary because it hits really hard if you're not out of dodge, so. There we go, that's 2 down. As you can see, even despite having 3 of them on the screen, we're still doing pretty well. Like I mentioned before, this is a pretty solid Huntress run. Not much to complain about, really. So there we go. All the bosses are down. I wasn't in the teleporter area for most of that fight, so I still have to hang out and charge it up a bit. But at least we've dealt with that. And it appears that the Hunter challenge also gives you an extra item at the ending. I had originally thought that it was just a chance to get 1 or 2, but it looks like the challenge of the mountain, I believe it's called, gives you 2 items as opposed to 1, and it is the same item. One thing I should also mention, when you exit a teleporter with a bunch of money, you can see it all disappear and a bunch of blue orbs pop out. That is experience leveling you up. Your character does have a level which increases health and damage. I don't know if it increases other stats like fire rate, but generally it's just good to level up, like in every game ever, for example. So now we're in the 3rd level. We're in the Outpost Snowy area. I'm a big fan of this one, personally. Both in Risk of Rain 1 and Risk of Rain 2. I really do feel like they're trying to keep a consistency between the games. A lot of the stuff that I really enjoyed in the first game, I'm already really liking in this game as well. And truth be told, a lot of the stuff that I wasn't huge on in the original is already starting to be improved for me. Like, for example, certain things that deal damage to enemies when an enemy dies, those are focused around where the enemy dies. So once I kill this stone golem, it would, for example, spread a fire area around it that would set enemies on fire. I never really liked that in the original Risk of Rain, but in this one it feels a lot more potent, because in 3D space, there's a lot more area for enemies to cluster around, just because there's an entire extra dimension for them to fit into. So items like that deal damage in an area after an enemy has been killed are significantly more impactful in this version. And I generally am a big fan of having them. I don't seem to have any on this run, if I'm not mistaken. But chances are we'll find some unless I die on this floor, which ideally I won't, but we'll see. There's Old War Stealth Kit, which makes me invisible when I take heavy damage. That is pretty nice to be able to get out of dodge. I haven't really been able to evaluate how good of an item it is just yet. I've just gotten it and been like, okay, cool, thank you. And we got the crowbar, which deals more damage to healthy enemies. Always helpful to just deal more damage, honestly. Alright, so let's keep moving. We don't have enough for this just yet. My general strategy so far when I enter levels is just to find equipment, hang out with that equipment until I can get enough money to purchase it, and then once it's done, clear out enemies and move on to the next area until I find something else. I generally think leaving any equipment behind is wasteful, so I am trying to be very weary of that and make sure I find all the equipment I can. Okay, let's get the extra shields, I think. Bonus health for Huntress is really important, in my opinion, just because of how slim her health pool is. Being able to have that extra survivability could be the difference between life and death in the future, and I generally prefer the life aspect of that. You've also probably noticed that some enemies seem to be modified slightly and appear more colored and have a little bit like some of them have little demon horns on them that are supposed to be spooky but honestly just come off as cute. Those are elite enemies that have some modifier to them. Some elite enemies leave a trail of fire behind them that you can't walk on. Some of them explode when they die. They all have additional health, for the record, and drop additional money. So that's the same between all of them, but they all have their own little quirks and gimmicks around them that make them a little bit stronger than the average enemy. Also, just to keep up with fancy-dancy game mechanics, you can see that we're already at the very hard difficulty, which is, you know, pretty arbitrary. Generally, the difficulty makes enemies stronger, makes them spawn more often and in larger groups, as far as I've discerned so far. So things get harder the longer the game goes on, I assure you. It's not just some minor stat increase or anything like that. You can see down there's another shrine that we haven't yet seen. This is a combat shrine which summons a bunch of typically powerful enemies. The later in the game you get, the more powerful the enemies can be. On my best run, I activated one of those, and 3 Wandering Vagrants spawned, which is the boss that we fought on the last level, so they can get pretty hard-hitting. Okay, so this right here is a 3D printer. It's basically item exchange. You can put an item in there, and it gives you the item listed out. It doesn't change which item it is. It will always be that one item. So if you find an item that you're really into and are willing to sacrifice some of your other items, I believe at random, then you absolutely can go ahead and put some items in there and get some in return. That's Bustling Fungus, which heals you if you stand still out of combat, and your allies, I believe, since this game does have multiplayer co-op. I'm probably just going to leave it. I think I prefer my other items for now. Let's see. I think it's about time that we find the teleporter and activate it. I just forget where it is, if we've even found it. Oh, there it is. So let's activate it. And get ready for some bosses. We might see, like, the Great Imp Overlord or whatever. Yep, there it is. There he is. Okay, so that's the Imp Overlord. He's a big boy imp. The imps have been around the level. They kind of teleport around and are generally pretty annoying. He also teleports around, does a bit of a ranged attack that explodes after some time. And if he gets too close, he can do a really nasty, like... Hopefully he'll do it here. He'll do that. I haven't gotten hit by that yet. I assume I'm going to die instantly if I do. So I generally try to avoid it personally. Okay, that was good timing for a war banner, for sure. Let me try and weave that ammo reloading strategy that I mentioned before into the teleporter fight here, since it is considerably useful. So let's do that, dash in, do that again. Snatch that ammo box. There. Oops, I didn't actually click it. Generally good to activate your abilities when you're trying to cycle them like that. And there he goes. Now we just need to clean up the rest of them, get our item real fast. I believe the boss drop item is always green or better. I haven't seen it drop a red one yet. I think it's always dropped a green one for me, so I'm just going to assume it's always at least green. So there we go. All done. On to the next level. I forget if the 4th or 5th level is the last one, but either way, we're getting pretty far into the end game here, and then we're going to start looping. Okay, so I'm going to take this combat shrine. I generally like having a combat shrine right at the beginning of a level, just that I can get a bunch of money for equipment and not have to spend as much time grinding around. Apparently an Imp Overlord spawned at the start of this level, which is a little bit rough. So I guess we're going to fight an Imp Overlord. Thank you. Risk of Rain 2. It's not that bad. It's not the end of the world. It's just I'm going to have to spend a decent amount of time taking this guy down. Also, you can see there, Risk of Rain is a little bit kind if you refresh your cooldowns when you were about to get your ability back anyway. I refreshed my cooldown when it had 3 seconds left, used it, and then I had 1 second on the cooldown after the fact. So it doesn't fully reset stuff if you get it at a disadvantageous time, which is a generally nice thing that I wasn't totally expecting. I was more so expecting Risk of Rain to take the approach of, sucks to be you. But, no, it is a bit forgiving in that regard. So there we go, Imp Overlord gone, thank goodness. And the other Lemurians are gone too, and I have $2,000 to start out this floor. So I think I'm good on money for most of this floor now. That being said, the money does scale over time. Things become more expensive. You also make more money in response to that. So yeah, like we started out with chests being like $25, and now they're over $200. Okay, so we have some green options here. We have an item that slows, an item that stuns, and we have an item that... what is that one, actually? Oh, that's the stealth mechanic thing. I'm going to take the item that slows. Having slow and stun is pretty good. We already... Oh, wait, no, I'm mistaking that item for something else. I thought that green item was actually the stun grenade, but it was something else, apparently, so there's that. We've actually found a gold chest. These are super expensive. You can see $3,537. But they are guaranteed to have a red item in them, and I don't care if I waste a bunch of time grinding it and make the game harder. I'm happy to lose my run a little bit sooner, even if I... as long as I can get a red item along the way. They're so fun. So we're going to hang out here, grind the money, and then we're going to go ahead and open this up, get a red item. Hopefully we'll get Ceremonial Dagger. That'd be great. Because that would be well worth the wait, almost no matter what. It is such a strong item in this game still. So as you can see there, that ability has super long range. One of Huntress's arguable weakness is that her primary fire doesn't have unlimited range. The Commando, for example, the first character and like the most well-rounded, quote-unquote, he has unlimited range with his primary fire, but Ranger, or Huntress rather, does not. Okay, so we got chance to hook all nearby enemies. I haven't seen this one. I think it's from Risk of Rain, if I'm not mistaken, but I haven't actually seen it in this yet, so I guess we'll see what that does. I mean, it's a red item. I'm sure it's fun and nifty, but... Okay, let's keep moving along here. I can see some equipment over here. 221. If I could have $3, that'd be nifty. Help me out, gunner drones. Kill something. Please? Okay, there we go. Here's the jumping while sprinting bonus again. Another combat shrine, huh? We are low on money, so I'll take the opportunity. Greater Wisp is nasty. I hate these guys. Luckily for me, I have a ton of aerial mobility, which is like the only way that I've really been able to dodge these guys effectively. They are just scary. Okay, so there we go. We got 1,500 off of that, which is pretty dang solid. Let's grab this guy for a little bit of extra cash. And this guy as well. Oh, this is a drone. It's a healing drone. Last time I got a healing drone, it kind of just died. So we'll see how it fares here. Hopefully it doesn't just die. That'd be cool. Let's check out this equipment. Obviously the teleporter was right there. Okay, I'm trying to think of how much might be left in the area. Well, there's at least... Okay, there's at least these guys. There's another combat shrine. Wow, there's a lot on this level. I'm going to take the ammo thing. Like I said, I really love the strat of dashing and resetting cooldowns, so I'm a pretty big fan of stacking them to make it more likely. It looks like that combat shrine is pretty much all that's left. There's probably a chest or two that I missed on this floor, but I think I'm going to go ahead and activate the teleporter. Yeah, you can see how the difficulty, we're getting edgy. It says I see you. That's spooky. You're not supposed to see me. Okay, these guys have a terrifying ability that I should not be here for. Remember when I mentioned that the healing item can come in handy? It's proven its case here. I'm pretty sure you need cover to dodge these guys' lasers. They're like big boy stone golems, and their laser does damage over time. Incredibly potently, I might add, in case you didn't see it. I think standing up here is our best bet. That way we can stay in the teleporter ring, we can deal damage, and we can hide behind cover if we need to. Unfortunately, due to this, we're kind of putting ourselves out of the combat, which means that all of the ammo drops are a little bit harder for us to reach. But it looks like they're about to be down anyway, so... There we go. Alright. They're taken down. We can snag that. Unfortunately, we didn't get a special item. Certain special bosses, like the Titan, actually, I think most bosses have a special item associated with them. It is denoted by a yellow outline, specifically. This boss has Titan Knurl, which increases HP and regen. Obviously, pretty good for Huntress with her kind of measly health pool generally throughout the game. So, that's the only one I've seen in Risk of Rain 2 so far. I believe Wandering Vagrant, rather, has a use item that exists. I haven't seen it yet in my runs. I've done about 5 runs, I believe. One of them I've managed to loop. And it looks like this run we should be able to, unless I goof up pretty bad. I'm just gonna hit the teleporter instead of clearing out all this stuff. It's a little bit chaotic. Oh, was that? Those were like, I thought I saw a yellow portal there. Am I insane? I might be crazy. I haven't seen that before. No idea what it is. It looked nifty though. Might be hallucinating though. Definitely might be hallucinating. So as you can see, we're back at the first level. We've officially looped, which means that it was actually 4 levels overall before you loop. And the game is going to increase in difficulty. They're already coming for me, and then they're going to start laughing, and it's gonna, it's kind of cute. They do this little thing where instead of it being like one last little segment of the bar, it just keeps going and keeps just looping ha 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 over and over again. Anyway, so at this point, we just have to play it out until we die. Currently, I don't believe there is a final level option in the game like in the original. Like I said, early access, a lot of features are to be implemented. So given time, this game is going to turn into something I think is going to be absolutely spectacular. I particularly cannot wait for artifacts to come out, which are still in progress. They were one of my favorite parts of Risk of Rain's original game. I would just rock glass choice, just the glass canoniest thing where as long as you could get through the early game, you could become an absolute behemoth, loop the game like crazy, and just do insane stuff. All right, there's a Wandering Vagrant just sitting there, acting like I'm not gonna see it, but I can clearly see you. All right, so there we go. Wandering Vagrant down. Me down too, because I just fell a ton. Ooh, environment data. There we go. So that's what I was talking about before. You can find those sitting around in certain areas. That is the second one that I found. They're obviously pretty expensive. I like getting them because I just kind of like filling out the logbook. So after this run, I can view the logbook information for this area, which means I have 2 of them. I believe there's like, I think there are 4 levels and there are 2 options for each level currently. So I believe there are 8 environments in the game that you can locate and get the data for. Not positive yet though, so don't quote me on it, but. Alright, that's what I was thinking was a stun grenade earlier. Fuel cell holds an additional equipment charge, reduce equipment cooldown. So that's pretty cool. You'll see after a bit of time, there is a 1 above my active item right now, but pretty soon it will turn into a 2, which means that I can use the use item twice, and then it will be back on cooldown. Well, here's the teleporter. It's really out of the way. Which is a little bit annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Anyway, we've reached the final difficulty. You can see it there. Did that guy over there have a health bar? I could swear I saw a health bar on that guy. That makes me wonder if you can get over there. Ooh. Apparently I just dealt 5,000 damage. Good to know. I kind of want to jump over there now. I doubt this is going to end very well, but hey, why not, right? Yeah, we can't reach that. Eventually we probably could. And I see health bars again. They totally have health bars. Oh, and there's a closer one right there. Risk of Rain. Risk of Rain, you were appealing to some very impolite things of mine. Oh, God. Ugh, I don't know if we can reach them. It teleports you back too early, so maybe you can't reach those guys, but either way. They have health bars. We know that much. Okay, I don't know what happened there. I'll be honest. I am in the stratosphere, so that's good. So yeah. Risk of Rain 2, I'm enjoying it so far. Oh, I accidentally activated the jump thing. I just body slammed into the abyss. Anyway, I am getting very sidetracked. We should probably just hit up the teleporter after we get some loot over here. Ooh, that's a red item. We got Alien Head. Alien Head reduces all of my cooldowns, which is super duper nifty. Obviously detracts a little bit from our strategy where we have the cooldown resets. But still. You know, I've seen a door similar to this on another level. I don't know what's up with those yet. I assume there's some secret associated with them that I just haven't figured out yet. I assume there's a lot of secrets that I haven't figured out yet in this game because it's still quite new. Yeah, no, I'm very excited to see how this game unfolds in early access. Generally, I haven't really said yet that I recommend it. I absolutely do. As long as you're a fan of early access stuff and aren't too worried about that, then yeah, you should definitely go ahead and take some time to experience Risk of Rain 2. It is still very fun in its early access state right now, and I'm sure it's only going to get more fun over time. So let's activate the teleporter. This is a pretty awkward place to be fighting anything. Luckily, it's the Beetle Queen, so it's not that bad. We're already hitting pretty dang hard, and we got a cooldown reset, so can't really complain much. Yeah, they're already half dead. Look at that. One down. Two down. And here we go. Yeah, Beetle Queens I feel like are currently the easiest of the bosses in the game. They really don't feel like that much of a threat to me every time I fought them. I have died to one once. That was mostly due to my own negligence more than anything else, really. Did I just? No way. Hold on. Can I bounce on my own drones? Get back here. How'd I do that? There's no way. I'm never gonna do that ever again. See, look at these little horns. I was talking about them earlier. They're just adorable. Oh, here come the greater wisps. Alright, and there we go. On to the next level. I believe this is where I died on my best run. This would be the 6th floor, technically, which is the looped 2nd floor. And here we are. Okay. I think we found an item. I'm not positive, though. So at this point, things are going to start getting very, very, very strong. And I'm probably going to start falling behind on damage until I get some more powerful items. Like I've mentioned multiple times, if I got Ceremonial Dagger, I mean, that would be an instant, like, great. I'm way more potent now than I was before. Of course, that is a red, though, so it's not common at all. And I can't really bank on getting it, so... Okay, so let's continue to look around for stuff. Because stuff is what we live for. Okay. It looks like when you jump at, like, little lips or edges, that's when that weird stratosphere boost thing happens. Go over here, purchase some items. One of my drones has died. There I go again. I'm in the stratosphere. At this point, I'm going to kind of neglect them because I feel like they have fallen below the power curve significantly. Let's grab this, which increases my move speed while sprinting. I feel like so far, the one thing in this run that hasn't really been up to par for me is how quickly we move. We have been very sluggish. There is one item, the red whip, that increases your move speed drastically when you're outside of combat specifically, which is generally what we've been missing, really, I think. But any amount of move speed would help at this point. Oh, no. That is a Titan just sitting out there. Well, he's targeting one of my drones. I have a feeling they're not long for this world. Yeah, okay. These guys are kind of mean. I'm gonna be honest, they're kind of not the coolest guys in the world. I think he's shooting directly into the wall right now, which is kind of amazing, honestly. Yeah, okay, there's an audio cue for that I heard just now. I haven't fought these guys very much, so I didn't notice it until now. But there is definitely an audio cue for that attack, which is really good to know. Fun fact. Alright, hopefully he'll go down right now. Please, 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 please. Alright, there we go. One thing you've probably noticed is that our war banners are getting crazy huge, right? They expand really far, cover a massively wide area. That's how getting duplicate items works. There's the red whip. Getting an extra item of the same variety will improve the effect of that item. So getting more speed items speeds you up more. That's pretty obvious. But like getting more banners makes the radius larger for the area that it affects. Every item has an effect like that, even the red items, which you don't frequently get multiple copies of. So if you do happen to get 2 ceremonial daggers, well, there you go. You officially win. I don't know where my arrow storm attack went there, but it looks like it didn't happen, which is weird. Anyway, now's a good time for me to show off that, like, yeah, you can just totally get out of the map pretty easily with Huntress. Like, this is just the edge of the map. Here I am. I can be anywhere, especially with this like atmosphere jump glitch. I don't know what's up with it. That's definitely contributing. And here is one of those lunar things, so I can donate to it. This is a Newt altar, apparently. I think this might just give you the item. For the sake of clarity, we'll see. No, the blue orb appeared. At the end of the level, we're going to see a blue teleporter. I'll go ahead and go through it, even though I don't think I can actually do anything there. Well, no, that's not true. I can do some stuff, but like the whole big gimmick of it is blue items, which you exchange lunar tokens for. And because that was the only one I had, I can't really do much with that. Okay, I'm not seeing much more as far as items being left on this level. I'm gonna go ahead and hit the mountain shrine. It's probably a death sentence, but it would be fun to see what a late game mountain shrine looks like and see how much it'll hurt. Oh, is it? There's no way it's the banner. Surely not. I have no idea. It's a very weird glitch for sure. Come on, Shrine of Luck. Whoa, come on. There we go. One more. Oh, I can't even afford it. Jeez. How much does it cost? 13, 14? Come on. Oh, stole all my money. Okay. Oh god, we took a lot of hits there. I wasn't being very careful. So yeah, you can see things are starting to hit especially hard. Any carelessness on my part is basically a death sentence. In fact, I think we're just gonna die here. Unless I can kill these stone golems first, we are in a dire situation for sure. Okay, let's bail from this situation. Oh, there's another Titan golem there. I don't love that at all. Okay, where is the teleporter? I think we spotted it earlier. Somewhere. Oh, no. I could really use that one item that exists. There's a red item. It's like it's either an afterburner or an overheater or something. And it gives you 3 charges of your utility total that you can build up over time. And I believe it reduces the time it takes for them to charge. Combined with Alien Head, that means you have huge utility usage, and it would be absolutely amazing for running away from all the things that are trying to kill me right now. Oh, there's another Shrine of Luck. I mean, I'll give it a shot. There's a use item. That gives me flight. I would really rather have the healing, though. Okay. Okay, here's the teleporter. That's... I think this would have given me an item, this type of pod thing. Again, not positive. I haven't had too much experience. Okay, so we have a Beetle Queen with a modifier. She's blazing. I believe that is the fire trail effect. There's another one over there as well that's just standard. I think it also inflicts burning over time if you get hit by one of her attacks. Okay, ow. In hindsight, I probably should have focused the weaker one down first. Let's go ahead and go for that. Ooh, that's not good. Don't get stuck. So yeah, this is generally what the Endgame Risk of Rain 2 experience is like right now. Using a lot of your mobility to dodge as many attacks as possible, and ideally having something in the event that you get hit really hard, like my use item, which heals me. You can also just get a lot of healing effects. There are effects that heal you when monsters die, when you deal damage, and those are a good way to survive. I didn't get many on this run, so I have to rely on the use item. It's not bad, obviously. It's just an alternative. Managed to get a war banner, which is probably way more helpful than it ever has any right being. There are a ton of ammo packs, so let's use that to our advantage. Looks like we fully charged the teleporter, so we just have to kill the Beetle Queen, and then we can move on. And I really want to do that quickly, because that Titan Golem is still probably out there chasing me down as we speak, which is a horrifying thought, and I really don't want him to show up during this, because then I have one really big problem to deal with on top of another. Oh, there he is. That's not good. Okay, we need high ground. We need high ground. Okay, we're done. Get both of these. You can see the blue portal. I'll go ahead and access that instead of the teleporter. And then we should enter the secret area. And here's the crazy move speed of Red Whip being at play. That was really close. Anyway, this is the Bazaar between times. If I run over here, we can go to the main area where there is a dude. Aha, see? So yeah, you can trade lunar coins here for special blue items. I don't know what any of them really do, if I'm being entirely honest. Except for the one that I got, but I don't recall what it looked like, so it doesn't help. Interesting. I don't think I've seen this red item before. So I can trade 5 of my items for this red item. I'm not sure if it can take other red items or not. I don't know the process of what items it takes. So I'm gonna go ahead and go for this. Looks like I lost a lot of greens, which is fine. I don't think I lost anything particularly, like, necessary for my build, but apparently all fire skulls would healed now. So that's interesting. I believe that's an item I actually unlocked by finding a secret. Not positive. It shares a name with the achievement description for something I found. There's a secret in a certain area that I won't reveal because I think it's more fun to find it on your own and it's not too difficult to find. Okay, so we started this fight with a Clay Dune Strider and an Imp Overlord. I guess I'll fight him just for the money. Just if we kill these guys, we're probably pretty set on cash for most of the level. But then I don't have to hang around too much. I can just run around, get the items, and then activate the teleporter. Ooh, that hurt really bad. Ooh, that hurt really bad. Oh, there we go. So yeah, things get really, really rough at the end of the run. Everything hits really hard, and depending upon your items, you can maybe take things down a bit quicker, but stuff becomes really tanky and difficult. So I only managed to loop around 3 levels. Like I said, I've still not played too much. Ideally, the more I play, the better I'll get at looping. But for now, I probably can't do anything like double loop. So yeah, you can see all of the items. You can look at them in the logbook, for example. Didn't mean to leave it there. So we can see these little horns that we just got. Store 100% of healing as soul energy after your soul energy reaches 10% of your maximum health. Fire a skull that deals 250% of your soul energy as damage. So yeah. You can get detailed descriptions of what everything does. So let's see what this does. 20% chance on hit to fire homing hooks at up to 10, plus 5 per stack, enemies for 100% damage. So crowd control, sounds like. Seems pretty good. And then we can check environment, and we found the distant roost log. Oh, there's 9 areas, interesting. So yeah, we can just look at this, get some information on it eventually. Right now, there's none here. But anyway, I think that's all that there is to really look into Risk of Rain 2 for now. Thank you for watching the video. I highly recommend it, as long as you aren't scared of the early access situation, because who knows what could happen. In an early access cycle, it can go pretty poorly sometimes. If you're not worried about that, though, then I definitely recommend getting this game. It's super fun. It's got multiplayer. I bet it's a massive blast with friends. I haven't played the multiplayer yet. In the previous Risk of Rain games, it was that if a character died, then the other character would just have to fend for themselves for the record, so be cautious of that. But it's still generally a fun experience, so I highly recommend it. Give it a shot. It's currently $20 on Steam right now, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they have just finished up, or might still be doing, who knows if you're fast enough, a deal where if you get the game, you get a free gift copy to give to anybody. It's not long for this world, so if you want to try it out, you better try it out soon. But yeah, thank you for checking out the First Impressions video. Let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. I'll probably be doing more of these in the future, but for now, that's it. Risk of Rain 2, great game. Go get it. It's really fun.